Welcome to the Royal Bugandan tombs at Kasubi in Uganda. For 700 years, the tombs have been the political and spiritual center of Bugandan tradition. In 2001, the site was recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. One evening, fire broke out, consuming the site and leaving a shattered community without access to its spiritual center. Prince James, a descendant of the kings buried at Kasubi, immediately took action, reaching out to my nonprofit CyArk for help. He was in luck. A year earlier, I was privileged to work with Prince James when he allowed CyArk to access the tombs to perform 3D laser scanning for digital preservation. The data CyArk collects is visually rich, allowing us to experience the sites in great detail, even after the physical structures may be gone. But the data is more than just a pretty picture. It is instead engineering-grade measurable data. This allows us to extract highly accurate blueprints of any monument we've scanned. Our blueprints of Kasubi were sent to Prince James in the days following the fire. The tombs are now being rebuilt. At CyArk, we are in a race against the ravages of time, human destruction, and natural disasters. We are the pioneers of the digital preservation movement, using lasers, drones, and high-def cameras to archive human history. Our goal is to digitally preserve 500 cultural heritage sites in the next 5 years. Working with governments and local partners, we've begun this enormous task, capturing portions of nearly 200 sites, including Pompeii, Angkor Wat, Chichen Itza, Babylon, and Rapa Nui. Our work can take us to some fairly unusual places, where we position our scanners to bounce laser light off the surfaces of the structure, capturing millions of millimetrically accurate points a second. Individual data points are joined together to form a solid surface, which can then be colored using photography. The result is a photoreal 3D model of the site, which can be used for further study or for restoration efforts. Our collection is available to anyone with an internet connection for free. Professionals and the public can go to cyark.org right now. We can make far-flung places accessible, and in doing so, celebrate all that makes us human. We can create at-home immersive experiences, like flying through the hammer beam roof of Stirling Castle in Scotland. Or plan a visit to the Ars Electronica Museum in Austria and come face-to-face with Tikal's Mayan pyramids in a life-size 3D virtual reality experience. But in order to move forward, we must record the evidence of history before it is lost. We need your help. If you had never heard of the historical richness of places like Mosul or Palmyra at the beginning of this year, you know them now through the senseless destruction of lives and culture. In the past months, we have been witness to increasingly horrifying acts, and we can no longer simply watch the destruction of thousands of years of history. We have the technology to save these sites, and we are prioritizing those at highest risk right now. But it's going to take a collective effort, time, expertise, and financial resources to ensure that the sites and the stories they hold are not lost forever. Please join us.
Thank you. Daniel, since you did not get a chance to ask a question last round, let's begin with you.
Yes, one part is the kind of natural habitat for these data clouds. You said the website, but in terms of someone experiencing those, what's kind of the natural, because you're claiming you're preserving the sites, and that's a claim you could speak more about in terms of that data doesn't equate to the religious architectural item you are preserving.
Right.
So what's the natural way to engage with the site?
So if I understand the question correctly, the concern is about we capture the site digitally, but then what happens to the physical structure? And our mission is focused on having that data so that if anything happens to the site, it can be used to reconstruct. But we work very closely with those managing the site today to get them information that helps them in their ongoing restoration or conservation efforts. So a lot of the data is used for site monitoring or restoration of higher risk areas.
And your website is a platform to immerse yourself into that space.
The website in its current iteration focuses mostly on public interaction, but we're in the process of launching a more professional platform to allow people selected access to the full data sets to be used for that. Right now that happens through our personal relationships with the sites.
So I'll jump in. It's been said that arts and culture, if you want to disempower a community, are the first thing that you take away. And I think what you're saying is that you, in a way, are helping to put arts and culture back into a community. And you mentioned involving local partners. Can you talk a little bit about how you're involving or have the potential to involve people on the ground who have had these special things taken away from them?
Yeah. That's a great question. So we've got a small team, core team, so our work is essential that we have local partners on the ground. So we work with, a lot of times, local universities, train professors and students in the data acquisition, and then let them actually provide a lot of the interpretation for the site. We also work with governments, people within ministries of culture, or the site managers themselves, again, getting them the technology and putting it back in their hands and letting them tell their stories.
Anne, what are some of your thoughts?
Oh, no, just, it's an interesting project, and I think Palmyra just got another terrible thing yesterday or today even, so it's timely. But is the goal, as you're saying, recreation later, or is it just sort of a historical record? What do you hope? I mean, you could take it in a number of directions.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing what's happened on the other side. The capture technologies continue to get better, but on the way that people can interact with this data, we're really just starting to see the possibilities now through things like VR. And our focus is to capture that data and to maintain it so that it can be used in all these future iterations. We've gone back to sites that we captured several years ago, reprocess that data, and see what new things we can draw out of it. So our mission doesn't extend to the physical sites and how the governments choose to maintain them. Our goal is to make sure that that data is available and reliable so that it can be used in whatever future applications are available.
Joel?
Because of the sort of rapid escalation of the technologies themselves, both in data acquisition and delivery, what about the preservation of the data itself?
Yeah, I was waiting for somebody to ask about it. We've got a couple of great partners that help us do that. So the data preservation is both in terms of storage but also migration. So we've got a lot of really great storage partners with Seagate and Iron Mountain are a couple companies that help us actually look after the data. And then we've got internally programs to actually migrate and store in non-proprietary and update formats.
And thank you very much.
Great, thank you.